So I have some questions that I collected from the audience earlier. We're going to start with one that went kind of across a number of your guys' companies, which regards policy changes. So specifically we had to Cargatomics about unclear shipping port use permissions. We had for New World, you guys mentioned DOE loan guarantees, but those are currently on the chopping block in Congress. And Condor, someone in the audience says that what you guys propose is currently not legal under the Nuclear Waste Policy Act. So in light of these topics, question, how do we deal with policy? How do we address it? How do we change it when it needs to be changed or when we want it to be changed? And what role do you guys see your companies have in that effort?
So I'm with Cargatomic. So the initial argument that policy will restrict the nuclear-powered commercial fleet from operating is not necessarily going to be an issue. Our ships, the ships that we're aiming for are some of the largest ships that have ever been built on Earth. And right now, those are restricted to very few ports on Earth. So there's no restrictions on any of those very, very large ports for nuclear vessels entering. In the future, perhaps there'll be other models of ships that would be built, and that would then pose an issue. But as it stands, we would have free reign of the seas for the big ships.
I'm Dylan from New World, and to DOE funding, we'll certainly seek it where it's available. NuScale Power's funding comes 1/3 from the DOE at present. That's going to be cut in the next year, and 2/3 from Fluor, which is a giant petrochemical corporation. And so we'll seek it where it's available through the GAIN initiative, through partnerships with universities and accelerator programs, which we learned about today in universities. That can help us get these first steps done, but really it seems like the private investment from other oil companies, from other energy companies that want to get into this game is where we're going to see our funding. So, policy-wise, we'll make inroads where we can, but we got to rely on private industry to do a lot of the heavy lifting.
So I'm coming from Condor. Policy is our biggest challenge because we are proposing reprocessing, and also we are dealing with the current waste disposal concept. However, our strategy to deal with this challenge is to first pursue or go with to the utilities. So, because what we are taking off of them is the fuel, so they don't have to take care of all the security measures and all the money that they will have to spend each year. Also, our concept introduces a much cleaner way of disposal. So we have huge environmental impact here. And with the help of the utilities and also from original communities, because we were introducing, or we will have employment growth in the regions where we are going to our mobile facility in and reprocess the already spent fuel. So within this help, we are targeting then the NRC, and we will push a little bit with the help of the utilities to change the current policy framework.
All right, hopefully that addresses your questions. Nuclear perceptions. How are you going to break into the echo chamber about nuclear and nuclear energy?
I'm not sure what you mean by break into the echo chamber. We are in the echo chamber here.
All right.
How we could break out of the echo chamber?
chamber?
Well, that's the thing. Get into the popular culture. Get at least the young generation talking about it. Get them sharing it with their friends. Get people talking about nuclear. Get people having discussions about it. Once you get it into the public eye, people are talking about it, and it's not just all nuclear are bad from Greenpeace and whatnot. The policymakers, your people in government, I believe you guys say on the Hill. Once those guys say, oh my God, I heard something about that, let's fund that. I believe one of your other scientists, Neil deGrasse Tyson, when talking about science, when getting out into the public talking about science, people up on the Hill say, oh, I watched something on John Oliver or one of your variety programs. I heard about that. Let's fund that. Let's vote for that. Let's do something about that. That's
Okay.
how I think you get it out of the echo chamber.
But given that, I'm building this off of the presentation that you guys had from Todd Allen about risk and risk perception. Since most of the people, what they're going to have heard about nuclear is going to be about the risks. How are you going to bring the fact that you want to start from what people have already heard in line with what Todd taught you guys about don't talk about the risk because that just makes people think about the risk?
Look, I know one of our things is we'll probably need some other skills, so clever people with marketing, but yeah, there's definitely ways that you can fudge the language, well, not fudge the language, there are ways that you can use selective language that you're saying the same thing, but it's all of a sudden palatable to the masses. It doesn't make them run a mile.
Got it. All right, atomic analytics. What about international plants? And incorporating international plants and information from international plants into what you guys are talking about? What would be the benefits or what would be the challenges?
So there are absolutely both. So as we mentioned, this is not something we're trying to tackle right away because it is not easy. It is a lot harder to share information across these international borders. However, only about a quarter of the plants are in the US. So that just adds so much more information, so many more events to analyze. So there are certainly benefits just from sheer volume. And different cultures also operate their plants a little bit differently. There's great analytics to be had there. But as we mentioned, it is not easy. It will take time, it will take lawyers. So it would be something to build up to over time. Does that answer your question?
It answers it for me. Hopefully it also answers
I
it
hope
for whomever
that was. Does that answer what you were asking?
Athena, and this is a question that I actually had as well. How are you going to ensure that the radiation isn't going to degrade your sensors in the RFID chips?
So that's one of actually our biggest concerns that we face when talking about the technology. We actually have found labs here in the US that put similar type of devices, different type of technology in terms of the location, GPS versus RFID, but they actually put electronics directly onto the sources, directly into really hot waste casks, and they use it for shipping and their transportation. So we've taken most of the solutions involve heavy casing of the apparatus, but that we've identified that as one of their biggest concerns for the technology.
Okay. I'm going to ask one more question of you guys as students, not as representative of your companies that you pitched. What is the most interesting or surprising thing you learned over the last 2 weeks at Bootcamp? Bueller.
Maybe not interesting or surprising, just so much as it was a magical experience where, like, we don't have this environment anywhere else to have it's a kind of a hippy-dippy way of saying it, but a safe space to have crazy ideas. Like, if you don't have that space, then the crazy ideas never happen. So just being able to be a part of that was quite magical.
So I guess I'll go more towards the interesting. So I knew nothing about business or finance or marketing, and we got so much of that, and that was like straight learning. All of that was brand new to me. I had no idea how complex it was, and it was just an area that I was previously like, that is outside of the bounds of what I know. So it was just amazing to get a lot of background in those areas that I just had none at all.
I think one of the best things I've learned is that coming from a technical background, doing engineering, I might all be very familiar with how designs might work and how the technology challenges can be addressed, but there's a huge role in bringing these ideas to the table and bringing them to fruition, and that's all the other side of things, the business side of things, the political issues, the regulation, and I think this whole course during 2 weeks really addressed those issues.
I didn't know your naval propulsion systems were enriched to 90% uranium. That blew my mind.
So coming from a technical background, I have a technical background as well. I didn't know a lot of things business related, so I learned a lot. But the most important thing that I learned is how to communicate my idea and how should I communicate with other people within the group, how to put aside my ego and how to make a step back, and how to do strategic pivots. So, yeah, this is the most important thing.
I also have a pretty short answer. I was very surprised to learn how possible everything actually really is in the nuclear industry, with innovation, with everything. That was really cool to hear about all the progress that's being made, all the cool ideas everybody has.
Now, I just want to add one final thing. I've noticed this before. As a nuclear engineering student, you don't get a lot of opportunities to interact with people in the nuclear industry outside of your country. And I've only had one other experience, and that was because I left the country to go do it. So this was really incredible, just in the other people that are here with us. We have so many different countries represented. And so just getting to interact with them and see their perspectives as we go along this journey together was really beneficial.
All right, well, thank you guys. We're gonna cut off Q&A there to try to stay close to on time.
Thanks, everybody.
And I know that these 6 students are representative of the 25, but not representative of all of the things that the students have had. So I encourage everybody who's here in the audience to talk to them after this or to message them. If you tag Bootcamp, we'll make sure that they see it. If you have questions for them about what Bootcamp was like, what they learned, things along those lines.